There are certain natural laws that are in play in your life that your higher self, that expanded version of yourself, wants you to be aware of. Now, why is it that your higher self wants you to be aware of these laws? Because when you're aware of them and you start applying them more intentionally, you actually connect and tune more in to your higher self. You start moving more from that expanded version of you, which raises your consciousness, which changes your reality so that you're living more in your heart, so that you are filling more of your own cup and then giving from your overflow. So win-win-win situations are created in your life. Now, not being aware of these laws, and especially if you're not aware of them, you won't know when you're applying them, when you're not, it leads you to being very confused to why certain things are happening in your life and can really make you go down the wrong path, questioning am I always struggling? Why is there always so much chaos? Why does it seem sometimes things get a little bit better, but then they go right back over here? Why does it seem like things are going really well? I have the things I want, but then I'm still so stressed, or I feel lonely, or I feel empty. Well, a lot of it is not understanding these laws and not applying them. And so by applying these laws we go over, which are just natural laws of the universe, natural laws of nature, nothing crazy or complicated, but when you become aware of it, and you start applying it, you start becoming your higher self more and more and more. You start vibrating higher, more permanently. Your vibrational set point rises, and so much begins to happen. So let's jump into what these laws are. I'll also go over how you can start applying them and start using them more consciously in your life. So we're going in reverse order with number 5 first, and this is the law of conformity. And this is so crucial to understand. There's an actual law called the law of conformity. Now, you probably know what the word conformity means. It means you're essentially going to adapt to your environment, to the people, to the ideas that are in your environment. This also comes to another law, which is called environment beats will. Your environment will shape you. And so many people fall for the law of conformity in a way that causes them to be programmed or to conform or be molded into essentially an individual that they wouldn't choose, right? And a lot of things in this world are kind of already put in place, but this is not a call to bring out the pity party or be a victim to this, because one of the things this system tries to do is to get people to conform to being a victim. Have you noticed that a lot of people are victims in the world? A lot of people complain, even people that are in situations where their survival is taken care of, and there's so many opportunities because we live in a day and age where there's more opportunities than ever. But isn't it interesting that so many people complain and moan and have this victim mentality? Why? Because of the law of conformity. The mainstream world wants you to feel this way, because when you feel like a victim, you become powerless, and you are more likely to give your power away to someone who's like, hey, you feeling like a victim? Here, take my drug. Oh, you're feeling like a victim? Here, just eat a bunch of junk food. You'll feel better. Hey, numb, watch this TV show. This is the solution. Now, there are solutions to being a victim, and it's learning how to stop being a victim, but be aware of the law of conformity. The environments you spend time in, the thoughts of the people you're around, the ideas that you are constantly exposing yourself to will start activating the law of conformity. And when you start to use the law of conformity to your advantage by consciously choosing your environments, consciously choosing the ideas you expose yourself to, consciously choosing higher rather than lower, you start to use this law to your advantage. Conforming isn't necessarily a bad thing so long as you're conforming to the thing that your heart is leading you towards. Conforming to what everyone else is doing just because everyone else is doing it is not going to serve you in your highest, because again, if you look out at the world today, most people are probably aligned to things that don't truly align to you. And it doesn't matter if it aligns to you or not. If you spend time in those environments, if you don't consciously try and change these things, you will be molded by it. And you'll feel resistance and everything, which will encourage you to move and to get out of there. But understand the law of conformity and that environment beats will. Use this to your advantage. Watch videos like this. Join groups that are not calibrated in victimhood. And one thing is, watch out for deception, because just because, for example, you're in something that calls itself a spiritual community does not mean it's not calibrated at victimhood and other things. Don't trust appearances. Trust the energy of things. Is something more calibrated towards holding your higher self up and shining the light on it? Or is it somewhere where people are just kind of promoting your victim story? I would avoid those, because it's just, again, you're going to conform to that, and then you're going to be running around with a victim story. But if you have places that focus on your potential, on your possibilities, on you being enough right now so you can go out and move from that place, well, you're going to start conforming more to that. And that's going to have you connect to your higher self that much more. Now, number 4 is a huge one, and this is the law of the path of least resistance. And this is something that occurs in nature just all the time. Nature follows the path of least resistance. It is us humans with our nice prefrontal cortex that like to complicate the path of least resistance and then actually bring in resistance. I'm sure you've heard of the idea that what you resist persists. Nature and life and our higher self is trying to get us down the path of least resistance all of the time towards our heart-based goals, towards our dreams, towards whatever else it is. But because we're so attached to things having to happen in the way we think they should happen, we cut off this process and we overcomplicate everything. It's almost like a GPS is saying, hey, turn right, but you're like, I don't want to turn right. I'm going to do a U-turn, then I'm going to take a left. I'm not going to listen to this inner guidance system I have. And you do like 20 moves later, and then you finally come all the way back around, and then you finally take the right. Whereas if you just followed the path of least resistance, you would have gone to the right. Now, why do people not follow the path of least resistance? Because of fear. Because the path of least resistance usually is also a turn or a step into the unknown. And so you get scared, move out of your heart, move more into your amygdala, into fear, into the monkey brain, and go, I don't know what's over there, I can't do it. But when you start actually understanding that nature operates on the path of least resistance, nature will always conserve energy and do things in the way that doesn't require as much. This is why if you've seen a short circuit, if you know what that is, you can have a circuit, for example, that goes like this. If then suddenly a path of least resistance is there, a shorter path is created, it will start going like this, and this pathway will no longer be activated, right? So I'll put something on screen to kind of demonstrate that for you. It's a very simple concept. But ultimately, understand the path of least resistance. And your higher self is always trying to lead you down this path. And to become your higher self, to tap into that more, you have to start following this path. Again, people don't because of the law of conformity. They listen to people who say you have to be convoluted, you have to make a pro and cons list, you can't follow your heart, that's impractical. We justify it with words like that. It's impractical. That's, not a smart thing to do, whatever else it is, as if like not following your heart is or following your heart's a dumb thing to do. Why would you do that? No, live a safe life, get your 401k or whatever, retire at 65, which is unlikely now anyway. And and then just be bored your whole life, never explore anything, never take risks, never follow your heart and discover more of what you are, never follow your soul path. Don't do any of that shit. Don't do that. What are you doing? Crazy? Don't follow that path of least resistance that will give you the best next move every single time. Follow this convoluted thing we've been doing for generations that makes people miserable. Here you go. Have fun. But I don't want to do that. Well, law of conformity, everyone else is doing it, so you gotta do it too. But you don't, right? Now you have awareness of this path of least resistance. Is always something that's in play. Nature will always take the path of least resistance. Now, one thing I want to say about this, because people get this confused, path of least resistance does not mean the path of most comfortability. It does not mean the path of comfort. And people confuse that like, well, it would be much less effort to just sit on the couch and eat potato chips and watch, my favorite Netflix or Gaia show again. And it's like, that's not what the path of least resistance means. The path of least resistance will a lot of times lead you into an action that you're very scared to make. It'll lead you into something that might allow something to fall apart that needs to fall apart. It might lead you to leaving that relationship. You know intuitively that you should leave. I see you. You know you should leave it. Or get into that relationship that you know you should get into. I see you too. I see you too. But ultimately, you want to follow this path of least resistance. Number 3 is the law of non-linearity. This basically means that life is nonlinear. Now, this plays into the other two that I've already gone over. You'll see that these kind of progress into each other. Because of the law of conformity, people pretend that the law of nonlinearity doesn't exist. People who are conform to the mainstream levels of belief that life is linear. But you can look in nature or any other process in life outside of our kind of fear-braced amygdala brains, and nothing is linear. Nothing in life goes from A to B to C to D. It is always something that comes out of left field because it goes beyond a process that is beyond your mind. This goes to source, this goes to life, that always has a bigger picture, actually the full picture of what's going on, and has, again, more awareness of these laws. And so it might seem like things are like magic, like you did this thing and this completely seemingly unrelated thing happened, but it's not. It's just a process you're not aware of, and sometimes for most of us, we'll probably never be fully aware of it in this form. But understanding that there is a law of non-linearity. Now again, from a different perspective, beyond our perspective, it makes complete sense. There's cause and effect, and there's just causes happening within the spiritual realm, the mental realm, the ethereal realm that leads to an effect happening in the physical realm. But if you're not aware of that, it looks like it's something crazy. But if you keep trying to do things in a linear fashion, you conform to that level of thinking and don't follow your heart that basically says, hey, trust me. Trust the direction I'm going in. I know you can't see how this is going to play out, but your mind is just trying to keep you safe and comfortable. It's not trying to have you grow. It's not trying to get you to the next place. So trust me. If you don't conform to the level of thinking of linear thinking. And then the next one, if you understand the path of least resistance, you understand that things are going to happen in a non-linear way through the path of least resistance. Why do we not take the path of least resistance? And again, not the path of comfort, but the path of least resistance is because it's into the unknown. But if you leapt into the unknown from your heart time and time again, the ease in which stuff would start coming into your life would blow you away. And I'm not just talking lip service here. I've seen this happen in too many people's lives to not understand the truth of this. I've worked with people going through this at high levels, high-level coaching with people where we have essentially gotten them to buy into the idea of living in this way, held their hand through the process, made sure everything was, was a controlled environment and everything else. And then within like a month, these crazy things start happening in their life. And it's like, yeah, because it's non-linear. All we're doing for you is creating conditions for you to actually start taking these steps into the unknown that your heart wants you to take, to start understanding why that works. And these things start coming in. So it's the law of non-linearity. I can't say that properly, but things are non-linear. The how is none of your business. And this is a crucial thing. You can keep trying to think, I want this thing, and this is how it's going to happen. But if you keep thinking that way, again, you might get little progress, but you'll never fulfill what it is you want to fulfill. You'll never bring about the life you want to bring about because it's nonlinear. You're not meant to know the how. The how is none of your business. Allow the how to be taken and used by your higher self. Allow your higher self to figure out the how. Allow the universe, allow source that knows way more than you to put the puzzle pieces together. You just request the kind of puzzle that you want in your life. You request the things that you want in your life. You have your vision, your dream, what you're led towards. How that comes about is none of your business, and if you try and control how it comes about, it won't come about. Now, one thing, if you want some help with this, I have a higher self-guided meditation for free. You can download below. In fact, it's a full-blown video course. It's a miracles course. It uses meditation and other guidance stuff to help start bringing nonlinear things into your life. And if you want to start that process and get more of a feel of this, go check that out down below. But just remember, we live in a nonlinear way. Life is nonlinear. And if you can get out of the law of conformity that tries to make you believe that it is, you're going to be able to embrace this and use this, and you're going to start to see magic happen in your life if you actually take it on board. Number 2 is the law of resonance. And you've heard of this one before, but it is a massive law of the universe. The things that resonate with each other start kind of playing with each other. And what that means is if you're tuned to a certain energy or a certain frequency on a radio station, you will start to hear certain types of music. If you're on the rock station, you're not going to hear jazz. And if you're on the jazz station, you're not going to hear rock and roll. Right? You're going to hear whatever station you're tuned into. And this is the law of resonance. This is why, for example, let's take abundance. A lot of people say if you want to be abundant and have more physical abundance, you have to be abundant first. Why do they say that? Well, how can I be abundant? Because what resonance you're on is what you're being. That is the signal you're sending out. Meaning if you're resonating at the level of abundance first, you are on the abundance station, songs of abundance then have to start coming in. But if you're on the scarcity station, you go like, I'm not going to feel abundant until I see clear evidence of it. Well, guess what? You're now on the lack and the scarcity station, and you're just going to get songs of lack. This can happen in love too. We see this in relationships where people think, I need to get in a relationship to be enough or to feel love. And so they are like, I want the great divine union relationship, whatever else it is, to complete me. I will be complete. I am a torn soul. I am not, a part of the all. I am not a perfect soul that is just here in a human body having a human experience. I have been torn asunder, and I need to find my match, who essentially it's just our ego saying, will fix me, will complete me. You are already complete. There is nothing to fix. There is nothing more that you need to add to your soul. Your soul comes from perfection. It comes from the divine. It comes from the all. And so we see this in relationships a lot where people will go out needing to get love from others. It's not really love, it's really kind of unconditional love, right? Like, please compliment me, scratch my back, hear me, tell me what I want to hear. Right? It's not unconditional love of being truly held, of being truly loved, of being truly said, no matter what, I love you. But until you give that to yourself, you will not attract someone who will give that to you too. Essentially, you need to resonate with whatever it is that you want before you have it physically, because if you think the physical thing is what determines if you are it, life will not give it to you. Because life is trying to get your attention off of what you think you need to feel good enough and onto what more of yourself you can give because you're already enough. And when you understand that and you can start resonating on those levels genuinely, and you can't trick the universe, and I've seen people try and do this, it's like, no, I'm grateful, I'm abundant, I swear, I am. Universe, I'm declaring it, I am. It's like, it doesn't matter what you declare verbally. It doesn't matter what you declare with your thoughts. What are you resonating? What are you vibrating out? If you can look at your world and truly feel grateful and feel it more often than not, then you are getting somewhere. But the law of resonance is always in effect. You will not bring in things that are not on your resonant frequency. And so this is why the inner world is so crucial and why the outer world follows it. And when you mold your inner world, you change your station to one that is on love, which is on peace, which is on, things that your higher self resonate on, well, suddenly those things start coming in your physical. Now, number one is such a crucial law, such a crucial principle, and it kind of plays into everything that I've listed. We've kind of been leading up to this, just one of the most foundational laws of the universe that your higher self 100% wants you to know about, because when you understand this, you start becoming more of your higher self when you utilize it, and it's called the mirror principle. This is why the outer follows the inner, and I dive deep into the mirror principle in this video, which I would have you go watch next. If you really want to learn this, apply this, I give essentially almost like a mini course in this video that goes over exactly what it is, how to apply it, and how to make it work in your life.